Welcome back to Day 4, 2025 Mineral Resources Review. Today's sponsorship is brought to you by Genome Atlantic and powered by Gale Force Winds. I have here with me Scott Healey, no stranger to Gale Force Winds, and a big supporter of Gale Force Winds. So thank you, Scott, over many events. We bump into each other all the time.
All the time.
I think we're following each other to all of these events. So listen, introduce yourself again and tell us all about what exciting things BluMetric is doing.
Well, thanks very much, Jacqueline. Well, we have bumped into each other. I think I saw you in an airport in Toronto, I believe, where we were going through. And then, of course, I wasn't even sure if I was even going to get here with the weather over the last couple of days. But I am glad I was able to get here for the final day of this very important and interesting show here in St. John's. It is my third time.
Oh, wow. And
here.
It's been a great week. Honestly, the energy, you could feel the excitement and just the energy at this event. And I've come to a lot of them as well, Scott, but I don't know, this one felt very energetic.
Yeah, I think, I haven't been around too much, but again, I think it's just a combination of what the federal government is doing and how they their new budget also is promoting resource development. A new government here in Newfoundland and Labrador also going to be very pro development and mining, and where we have collaborated with Gale Force and as I mentioned, being here for the third time since I joined BluMetric almost 3 years ago. We see as BluMetric a real lot of opportunities here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And as an environmental consulting and Watertech company, we can provide the services that we believe to the industries, the mining companies, both from an environmental point of view and from being able to provide them with the equipment they need, both for camp development and the resource extraction process of both water purification and wastewater management at the same time. But as you're well aware, Jacqueline, being from here, my wife's from here, so I do keep a lot of track on what's going on here in Newfoundland. There's a lot of challenges with water. And
tell us a little bit about that, Scott, and what that means for BluMetric.
Yeah, I think, from the perspective of, one of the reasons I joined BluMetric was a bit of an altruistic reason that I believe that all people should have the right to clean drinking water.
Excellent.
And I think, it really surprises me. I was at an event in Ottawa with Global Affairs and talking to people outside of Canada who find it absolutely shocking that we have hundreds and hundreds of boil water advisories across our country, from Newfoundland all the way to Vancouver Island and all the way up north.
And you really wouldn't think that in 2025,
they
would
don't.
you?
No, and because if you're coming from countries that we would you hate to generalize, but countries like in South America or in Africa where there is that you would maybe assume that, but for them to hear hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. So we like to look at it from the perspective that the technology is there.
Yes.
Generally, we can solve, and that's not just BluMetric. I believe most water companies, if they're doing their job right, can solve these problems on behalf of the citizens of both Canada and around the world. It's both requires a will from the politicians, bureaucracy getting out of the way, and creative ways potentially to both finance and to put these water systems into effect in communities. So when you're looking at the mining industry, where mining tends to be very remote, very, very sort of away from the general populations, that same application applies to mining camps and mining facilities.
Very true.
As it does for rural and remote communities. If you look at, again, no surprise to a Newfoundlander and Labradorian, most of the communities that are having difficulties with water are all less than 1,000 people. Well, the equipment that we provide to the Canadian Armed Forces, which is we're the sole provider of all their mobile containerized water systems, those water systems are absolutely applicable and can be, deployed to support those communities. So again, political will needs to be there, and the desire and finding the money to do that for the citizens. I think a lot of people, what I'm sensing, are starting to push back. They're saying, why is my water bad? Why is it? Why do I have to boil it? Why is it brown in color? There's no need for most of that to happen.
And you would think, again, in 2025, that would not be the case.
Absolutely.
In our province, right? And country.
Yeah, and when you look at the, as you've been here for a few days at this, at the show here in St. John's, and again, you talk about the vibe and the excitement. I think, in the mining industry here in Newfoundland has a tremendous opportunity.
Yes.
No surprise to any of us, we are in some challenging times, both with our trading partners and also geopolitically, and therefore we must develop those critical mines and those critical resources that we need for our industries, whether they be defense or aerospace or auto, it doesn't really matter. We need to make sure that that's domestic and that we control it. And I think that the Newfoundland and Labrador market certainly offers much of what the country needs, and also externally what the country needs. There are lots of countries looking for what Newfoundland and Labrador have, so it's time, I would say, let's get out there and develop it.
Absolutely.
Let's work with our environmental partners to ensure that the environment is protected. BluMetric can certainly provide that. And also when you're looking at the development of facilities and communities, that the water system, both from the purification point of view, the wastewater, and also the actual processing of those mines meet those requirements. And I think that, I like to think that our company can provide that, and doing that, building up that relationship, and getting people here in St. John's and Newfoundland to work with BluMetric and work with our partners here in the province.
Well, it sounds like you guys are on to a great thing. And I know you guys attend a lot of these events as well, Scott. So coming here, what does this mean for BluMetric and for yourself?
Yeah, I think it's visibility, and just being seen to show that you're interested, you're willing to make that investment into a region. Atlantic Canada and Newfoundland is an area that we are really focusing on. We already do a fair bit of work in the Halifax area and in support of the Canadian Royal Canadian Navy, and have been in that footprint for quite a while. But we see a lot of need, but also a lot of what we want to develop, important partnerships and collaborations with stakeholders out here. And we think that being part of that community, giving back to that community, like many people do here in Newfoundland, it's a very community-oriented province. I think that we'd like to be part of that discussion.
Absolutely. And that's been very much a theme of our chats we've had this week with many people, is the whole relationship piece.
Yeah.
And Newfoundland and Labrador is very relationship oriented, and it is important to come out to events like this if you want to show that you're serious, and that you have the means to give the support, and you have a product and or service that can benefit the mining industry, but the communities as well.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And I'm going to give a little shout out to Gale Force. We're going to be working with Gale Force Winds again at the Municipality Newfoundland and Labrador Conference in a couple of weeks out at in Corner Brook. Absolutely. And I get to travel across the province with my good friend Jerry in a car, so that should always be a lot of challenges. Let's hope the weather's not quite as bad as it was over the last day or two. But again, part of that discussion out there, though, has a bit of a relationship to mining, is the fact that we need politicians to be aware of what is out there technology-wise, what is out there capacity-wise, so that their citizens, that they're represented, can get the quality of life, and in this case, the quality of water and wastewater management that he deserves. So
absolutely. Well, good luck in a couple of weeks' time at that event, and thank you once again, Scott, for jumping on here and chatting a bit about what BluMetric has to offer.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline, and thank you, Gale Force Winds.